Good morning. Yes, we are.
Thanks.
Oh, Barry said he's coming, but I'll go ahead and get started. Um, Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of Community Planning and Economic Development Committee to order. Today is March 19th, 2025. It's 8:03 a.m. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from 2/19/25?
So moved.
And can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right. So as everyone knows, we're going through our budget. We're in budget season right now, and we're going through the budgets for each department. With us today, we have our town engineer, Greg Summer. We have Dwayne Martin, Director of Community Development. We have Lisa Newton, our Finance Director, and I can't see the other person that,
It's Patty Lewis.
okay. And from the council, we have Deputy Mayor Ben Winograd, Committee Member Alberto Cortez, and Carol Anderson, Counselor Carol Anderson Blanks. So Rick, I'll turn it over to you to get us started.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, everyone. As the Chair said, we're focusing on the community development department budget as well as the associated capital improvement plan budget. And this budget, as we'll see, supports the essential work of our engineering department, our building department, including building inspectors, as well as our planning team. And as we know, all three departments are at the forefront of really helping shape our town's future, ensuring that growth that we're experiencing is well managed, infrastructure is well maintained, and safety remains a top priority. And our community development team has had an exceptionally productive year, making significant progress across multiple initiatives, from a record number of development and pre-development projects to advancing our center infrastructure plan, to developing our affordable housing program. Their efforts continue to drive economic growth and really smart, attainable growth for the town. The department has also been instrumental, as we know, in Vision Zero, so improving pedestrian and cyclist safety through several strategic roadway enhancements, road safety audits, multiple grant applications, and meanwhile, other infrastructure projects such as the New Park Avenue and Park Road are continuing and helping to modernize key corridors, and really helping to enhance mobility for all users in key parts of town. And additionally, our commitment to improving stormwater management system has led to key investments that will mitigate future flooding. So we look forward to discussing this budget with all of you this morning and really over the next several weeks. And really look forward to community development team supporting and continuing the momentum that is helping to build a real thriving community here in West Hartford. So through you, Madam Chair, I will turn things over to our Director, Dwayne Martin, who will provide an overview of the fiscal FY26 budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dwayne Martin. I'm the Director of Community Development. I'm going to give a very brief presentation of our operating budget. Our town engineer, Greg Summer, will follow, if you'll allow, with our capital improvement program presentation. So starting off, I just wanted to explain for those that may not be familiar or haven't had an opportunity to review the budget document and explain what community development is, because it's a little bit different in West Hartford compared to some other communities. We have 4 divisions that are in community development, and they are building inspection, engineering, management, and planning and zoning, and that's comprised of 28 full-time employees. And as Mr. Ledwith said, we had a very busy past year and probably will have another very busy year to come with all the projects that he mentioned, particularly with Vision Zero and all the projects that we've accomplished and want to accomplish for that program, which I'll detail quickly. Feel free to stop me at any time during my presentation if you have any questions, by the way, but I'm going to walk through fairly quickly. I wanted to start off by just detailing some of the highlights and accomplishments that I put into our operating budget for community development. So I'm going to sprinkle around a few of them here. I'm not going to read everything off, rest assured. So our building engineering and planning and zoning staff was very heavily involved in a lot of what you see around town as far as the redevelopment that's going on, whether it was plan review, attending meetings, or conducting inspections. And those can be seen, a lot of it is in the center here. So we have the Camp Lot site at 900 Farmington Ave, excuse me. The Byline site at 92924 Farmington Ave, and Fellowship Housing with the first of a handful of phases that they are planning up on Circle Road. 950 Tropper Drive, that project is coming along quickly. And then of course the former Yukon campus projects, which were ongoing for quite some time. So my staff was very involved, myself included, in all of those, along with a few others and much of our day-to-day ongoing work. The planning division, as many of you are aware, was able, with the help of a consultant, to get our affordable housing plan to the finish line, which is fantastic. And of course, we've been making efforts for affordable housing for some time now. We mentioned Vision Zero. The engineering division worked on over 70 projects, which was monumental in my opinion. We have much more work to do, of course, for that, and we have much more planned, as you'll see in here. Our Tropper Trail, which is a trophy project as far as I'm concerned, what a nice amenity for the town and its residents and anybody that wants to visit the community. We finished the last originally planned section of Tropper Trail from Park Road down to Jackson Avenue, and we are looking to expand it to the north and south. So we now have a continuous multi-use trail right through the center of West Hartford, which is almost 4 miles long from Asylum Ave down to New Park Ave. And the last project that I want to highlight is the town, primarily the engineering division, but with the help of the planning and zoning staff, updated our bicycle facility plan, which needed some updating based upon interest from the community and our pedestrian bicycle commission. And it's now called the Bicycle Plan and Facility Selection and Design Guide. We like very wordy projects, apparently, through our engineering division. But we're very happy with that. We did have the help of a consultant, and it's going to provide us guidance moving forward. And we are using it for the projects that are coming up this year. Speaking of which, I just wanted to highlight a few of our upcoming fiscal year's goals and objectives. If you're not familiar, you will be very soon. We have a project coming on LaSalle Road in the center, and that was born out of our West Hartford Center Infrastructure Master Plan, another wordy title, that was my fault. And then that'll be followed with Farmington Avenue as far as the reconstruction. So you'll be seeing more of that very soon. That plan, the master plan, should be finished very soon, within the next couple months, but the reconstructions will continue, and we'll apply what came from that master plan for other areas of town as well. As I mentioned, continuing the Vision Zero action plan projects is certainly planned for the upcoming fiscal year. Some of the projects that could be use the master plan to apply some of the features there, but have been ongoing as far as grant opportunities are complete streets projects on New Park Avenue, Park Road, and Cedric Road. Those are all planned, hopefully, to start very soon, but do what we can to get completed this fiscal year. And then the last project I wanted to mention for goals and objectives is the replacement of a couple culverts on Tropper Drive near the former Yukon campus, which is a flood-prone area. We've been working on these projects for quite some time, but the culverts that are there are undersized and need to be replaced to address flooding that goes on in that area. Okay, moving on into the budget itself for community development. I just wanted to mention again that we have 28 full-time staff in the department, and I'll go into more detail about that in a minute. There were no requested or received additions to the staff, so it will stay at 28 Going to page 10-4 of the budget document, there is a table in there with regards to our management division. So the management division is 2 people, 2 full-time staff, myself and an office operations specialist. So 2 full-time staff for the management division. Not a lot to go over here. I just wanted to point out, and you'll see this in a few of the budget tables for community development, the telecommunications line item. There's a 25% drop there. That's $200. It's not a very big line item, but you'll see that in a few spots because that allocation for desk phone, workspace desk phones, not cell phones, was put into a different area of the budget. So you'll see a pretty big percentage drop in a few spots. That was the first one, so I wanted to mention that. Okay, moving on beyond the management division, going into the engineering division. So this is on page 10-6. A couple things to point out here. On the top in the revenue section, there is 100% change for transfer, and that was reimbursement for one of our civil engineer 2 staff persons, full-time staff person in engineering. They are working on a grant, which their time is reimbursable. So you'll see that as an addition to our line item for engineering. That's going to be there probably for 2 to 3 fiscal years. It's the first time, and then it will go away as the grant is completed. Dropping down into the expenditure section for engineering on 10-6. The temporary payroll, you'll see there's a drop there of 49.4. Again, the percentage is high, but the dollar value isn't that big. But that is, we decided this year not to pursue an intern for the engineering division. Not that it's not valued, it's just it adds a lot of time and effort on the staff to keep that person on the right path with everything going on, particularly with Vision Zero. We opted not to pursue an intern this year, but we do have some money left on that line item for temporary staff if should we want to pursue help with construction inspection. But we currently have a clerk, is by title, helping us with our scanning project. If you recall, we are digitizing all of our paper documents and putting them in electronic format. And then again, in engineering, dropping down on that table, summary of expenditures, you'll see a 25% reduction in uniforms and laundry. That is accounted for based upon the fact that we had a new staff person added and wanted to outfit them with some new attire and safety shoes. And so we still have staff that needs that, but not as much this coming fiscal year. So there's a reduction there of $500. Should have mentioned at the beginning, my apologies. The engineering division is 10 full-time staff, and you see that in the table down below. No change there. There are no questions. I'll continue moving on. Again, stop me at any time. I'm going to move on to the building inspection division. Very, very busy bunch. This is on 10-9 of your budget book. There are 10 full-time employees in our building inspection division. So starting at the top of 10-9 in the section, the table there for revenues, I just wanted to mention building permits. So building permit revenue has been on the higher side because of all the activity that's going on. No surprise there. But we did increase it to $3 million. So you see a 27.7% increase due to recently approved redevelopments that we are anticipating will land in the upcoming fiscal year as far as the revenue for building permits. So I just wanted to explain that. Dropping down into the expenditures section for building inspection, you'll see there is an increase for temporary payroll, 26.9%. The reason for that, we have 2 part-time staff assistants that help with the intake of our permits, which are online now, as processing revenue, scheduling inspections, and handling counter visitors. So they're a very busy bunch with all the activity that we have going into the building division. We wanted to keep that properly funded. So you'll see there is a slight increase there. And then down below, again, the telecommunications line item, 9.1% drop. Again, that was a reallocation within the budget for office desk phones. And moving to our last division in community development, planning and zoning. So this is on page 10-12. can see at the bottom, the table for the full-time position schedule. We have 6 full-time, and we actually have 6 full-time staff, which is fantastic for the planning and zoning division. That was a little bit of a struggle to get there, but we are there. Also a very busy bunch. The only thing that I wanted to mention for this budget is the telecommunications. Again, there's a drop there you can see in the summary of expenditures table, 27.3% reduction. We're not getting rid of any desk phones, but it's being reallocated in the budget, so it's repositioning. And that concludes my presentation. There was not a lot to go over. It's pretty lean, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Deputy Mayor Winograd?
Thank you. I've sort of it relates to this budget, sort of a general question. On the wage increases on the budget line, I know we had a lot of it's attributable to the retro, but we had a contingency. So in the budget books, so I know it appears like 12, pretty substantial increase in the wages. But I know some of that was paid for last year by the contingency fund. So presumably that's reduced somewhere else in the budget. Is there any point to where we find that?
You're muted, Rick.
Sorry about that. Through you, Madam Chair, to Deputy Mayor's question, I'll turn to our Finance Director, Lisa Newton. Deputy Mayor is correct. We did have a retroactive contract that was settled this past year that went back to 21. We did have a contingency fund built in for those contracts. We also have, I don't know the number off the top of my head, a contingency fund built into our current contract as well. To all of the contracts that we did settle this past year that did go retroactive are now, I think most of them anyways, are expired on June 30th as well of 25. So through you, Madam Chair, turn to Lisa to give a little bit more background on the wages.
Good morning. So basically, we record any of the wage settlements that, well, things that have not settled, the contracts that have not settled. It's in non-departmental. And so that's on page 16-1. And so basically, you'll see that it's going down. So there was in 2025, we budgeted 2.2 million. That's going down to 1.2 million. And that's because, like Rick said, a lot of the contracts end beginning with July 1st of the fiscal year 26. So that's where we record it. So you won't see it in the departments as much. So what you'll see in the departments now is the increase from FY21 to FY25. The remainder, now the contracts are still unsettled. That's in FY26 on non-departmental.
All right, through you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that. I just, you look at a budget for one department, it looks like a very substantial increase from year to year that on the retro, and again, that is anticipated and paid for in advance. So which is a good idea. All right, thanks for that clarification. I've highlighted that page, so I'll keep on going back to that. Thanks very much.
Does anyone else have any questions? Councilor Cortez?
No, I was just saying no questions.
Oh, okay. I do want to acknowledge that while that presentation was being given, that Kristen Gorski, our Economic Development Coordinator, joined the call, as well as Councilor Barry Walters. So if there are no other questions, we can move on to the next section.
So yes, Madam Chair, at this point, we'll move to our capital improvement plan. And I believe our town engineer will take the lead on this summary of that budget. And through you, Madam Chair, I'll turn it over to Greg Summer.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Town Manager Ledwith, and through you, Madam Chair. Good morning. My name is Greg Sommer. I'm going to start for Town Engineer. Happy to present to you this morning an overview of the Transportation and Circulation section of the CIP. I'm really going to focus on years 1 and 2. I'll kind of walk through and give a brief overview for each program, and then really focus on any of the changes. As you're aware, obviously, the first 2 years are approved. So what was year 2 last year is now year 1, but we'll make sure we highlight any changes in those funding requests. So on page 3-2 of your budget books is the first program is our pedestrian and bicycle management. So this program obviously is used to maintain 300 miles of sidewalk that we have in town and over 90 miles of bicycle facilities. As Mr. Martin alluded to earlier, included as part of this effort, we recently had updated our bicycle plan and facility selection design guide this past year. So that'll certainly help us moving forward as we implement additional bicycle facilities. Currently in this program, we have a sidewalk backlog of about 800 work orders. We address about 160 per year, but unfortunately we receive about another 130. So we are making some progress, but the requests keep coming in. So with the funding allocation recurring about 711,000, we're able to replace about 2 to 2.5 miles of sidewalk annually. So that's primarily our focus through this program, is really addressing those sidewalk issues that we hear from the residents, and then also for some bicycle upgrades as well. On page 3-3 is our stormwater management program. So again, this is primarily to maintain the 7,600 drainage structures we have throughout town and about 175 miles of pipe. This program is currently funded at $755,000. Of that, we use almost 20% to do video inspections. So we're actually evaluating the condition and assessing our current storm pipes, and then looking at any potential repairs that might be needed that come out of that. And this program is closely linked to our resurfacing program. So before we repave a road, we'll go out and inspect the drainage, that pipes that are underground, just to make sure that we're doing things in the right order, that we don't end up having to tear up a road that was recently paved, because later we find out there's an issue with the drainage. So a very important program to make sure we're addressing and maintaining that infrastructure. On page 3-4, this is our street reconstruction. This is a recurring program funded at $1.3 million. This is our program where we're installing granite curbs, addressing concrete sidewalk, driveway aprons. There's some drainage work, and then basically it's a full in-depth repair of the road where we're actually stripping the asphalt, regrading the base material, and then resurfacing it. So there's 2 projects this year that we're going to be focusing on under this program. One is the northernmost section of King Philip Drive. That's from Fuller Drive to Tumblebrook Lane. And then we also have the Albany Avenue frontage road, which we discussed at our last CPED meeting, accepting that as a public street and making those improvements to that section. One of the changes in this program, so it was previously approved at 1.8 million. We ended up transferring just over $500,000 to our New Park Avenue Complete Streets project for a projected shortfall. So we'll touch on that a little bit later in the discussion. And then also within this program, some of our other grant projects that we have going on. So that would include potentially the West Hartford Center infrastructure, our Park Road rehabilitation, our Sedgwick Road pavement improvement programs that are all grant funding. If there's any changes, unexpected issues that come up during construction and those projects do go over, we'd look to pull some funding from the street reconstruction program to make up for any of those shortfalls. On page 3-5, this is our street resurfacing program. The funding request is for just over $3,194,000. This is to maintain our 217 miles of roadway. Currently, about 23% of those, or 51 miles, are rated in poor or extremely poor condition. We do our rate rating every fall to come up with that number, and that helps us determine which roads we want to focus on in the upcoming construction season. So we always strive to pave about 10 miles of roadway. We've been falling a little bit short over the past several years with the rising cost of asphalt and construction in general. But that's still the target number we're looking at. The $3.1 million that's split, 2.7 is from bonds, and then there's also the LoSiP state allocation, which is about $431,000. On page 3-6, this is our traffic system management program. This is where we maintain our 62 town-owned traffic signals, about 1,200 signs, and over 30 miles of pavement markings. So this is a recurring funded program, just over $500,000. Included in this is a CNRE number for $103,000. So $400,000 is on the capital bond side, and then CNRE, which funds our pavement markings, which don't typically have a life cycle a little bit less than 10 years. So it's not bonded funding that's used for those. So this program again funds any traffic signal equipment upgrades, improving more reliable detection, increasing efficiency and flow of traffic, improving communication between traffic signals would all come out of this program. And it also would supplement some of our ongoing Vision Zero initiatives as well, with either pedestrian warning lights, enhanced signage, recessed pavement markings, things of that nature. On page 3-7, this is our flood mitigation infrastructure improvement program, funded at $5 million. You'll recall we've been doing extensive drainage work, studying about 6 drainage areas in town, which cover about 10% of our drainage system. And it's really geared towards addressing those repetitive street flooding issues that we've been seeing over the past few years. Knock on wood, of course, it's been dry as of late, which is a good thing, but obviously we've had those concerns and issues in the past. So that's what this program is being used for. The first project that will come out of this program, we're looking to bid later this year. That's the 2 culvert projects on Chartbrook Drive, just north of Asylum Avenue. So we're planning to do the one that's along the west side of Chartbrook, near the former Yukon site this year. That totals about $2.9 million. And then the culvert that actually crosses Trout Brook Drive just north of the Asylum Avenue intersection would be next year at a cost of about $4.1 million. So we've been saving up the recurring funding for this program to accommodate those larger, more expensive projects. On page 3-8 is our infrastructure improvement project. So this is a new program that was introduced a couple of years ago, really designed to address public infrastructure involving multiple departments. So a little bit of a catch-all, if you will. Some of the components that we feel might fit into this program would be maintenance of our Chartbrook Trail system, town parking lots, Webster Walk through Blueback Square, and then there's some retaining walls. There's one on Mountain Road, for example, that we'll touch on in year 2. But this kind of is kind of a program that it's not under necessarily transportation or facilities, kind of acts as a catch-all. So I think the funding increase that's being requested here of $250,000 to bring this program up to $550,000 is really being focused this year on the Webster Walk improvements through Blueback. So that's the walkway and the steps between the cinemas and the library, improvements and upgrades to that facility. On page 3-9, this is our Vision Zero program. So obviously, you're all familiar with this, the goal to eliminate fatal and serious injury crashes on our roadways by 2033. We are requesting an increase in this program. So the increase of $750,000 would bring this program total up to $1,250,000. You may recall this was originally funded through ARPA funds, which needed to be obligated by the end of last calendar year. So we actually kind of pre-spent the money for FY26 to purchase some additional equipment. That's part of the reason we were able to do so much with Vision Zero last year, is that we kind of advanced that funding. But we felt it was important to kind of refill the coffers and make sure that we have adequate funds to continue that effort through this year and beyond. So that's the request for 750,000. And specifically, some of those projects that we have earmarked would be related to the improvements on Park Road and Sedgwick Road. Both of those projects, we conducted RSAs. We have some upcoming projects, but they were really geared towards improving the pavement and aesthetic treatments of those facilities, those roadways. So this funding would be used to supplement those and make sure that we're also incorporating some of the safety improvements, such as curb extensions, raised crosswalks, pedestrian warning lights, some signal modifications, bike facilities, those types of amenities. On page 3-10, this is our Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. And it's really focused on the vulnerable users. So this is the second of the SS4A grants that we've received. This one's a little bit in limbo right now. We're still waiting for approval, and hopefully we receive that from Federal Highway Administration. With the change of administrations, they kind of put a temporary hold on grants, but we want to make sure that we're prepared and in a good position when we hopefully get the authorization to move forward. So the grant award was for $3,178,000, and that would require a 20% town match. So there's a $795,000 match that we're looking to transfer essentially from FY27, advance that to cover the matching component of this grant. Included in this initiative, there would be a focus on vulnerable users, as I mentioned, so pedestrians and cyclists. We'd be focusing on the high vision zero high focus areas. So 9 critical corridors. Be looking at our 16 schools to establish school zones and make improvements around those campuses. And then also the automated traffic enforcement devices. So this would be the red light camera component. The previous grant that I mentioned is primarily the speed cameras. So this would be the related element of that with red light running. On page 3-11, and feel free if there's questions. I know I'm kind of going through this rather quickly, but feel free to interrupt if anybody does have any questions. As our New Park Avenue Complete Streets Improvement. So this project includes a road diet, a 2-way separated bicycle facilities, other aesthetic amenities and enhancements in that corridor, basically from Oakwood Avenue down to New Trenton Avenue. It was previously funded at $3.7 million, and that was split between a couple of grant sources. One was the Responsible Growth through the Office of Planning Management, and then another 1.7 through LOTSIP, and another, I believe, 100,000 from the town CIP that was previously allocated. Based on our current design, the estimate is at $5.7 million. So obviously, this grant, unfortunately, it took us a little bit of time to finalize the design. As we went through that, the cost increased, so we're short about $2 million on the project. So we're looking for an increase in this project of $1.5 million, and then we'd also, as I mentioned before, transferring the $500,000 from our street reconstruction fund program to supplement that as well. So that would bring the total for this program up to $5,726,000. That's the end of year one. So I'll pause there if there's questions, and then I can continue going through year two, but really just focus on the changes or improvements, increases that we have in the second year.
Does anyone have any questions? Councilor Blanks?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Quick question for you, Greg. Going back to the safe streets and the grant, and also hearing what you said in terms of some of the uncertainty with the federal government right now. If we do not receive the grant or even receive it in the grant amount that was requested, does the town have a backup plan or a contingency plan?
Yeah, great question through you, Madam Chair. So we would still have Vision Zero funding. So I think the intent was really to continue pursuing. I know the red light cameras is something that's a priority for the council, certainly for us as well, as we look to combat some of the aggressive driving that we're seeing on our roadways. So we would still use our Vision Zero funding, basically that we used as the match. We would just try and stretch those dollars to really provide that red light camera program. But unfortunately, we'd probably have to scale that back. Maybe we wouldn't be able to do some of the other corridor improvements that we're looking at. Those might have to be pushed out and possibly look at other potential grant funding opportunities so that we could accomplish all those projects that we're set out to complete.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? No? Deputy Mayor Winograd?
Are we getting, I'm sorry, the second year plan?
We were doing questions and then we're going to go through that one really quickly.
Okay, that's fine.
Without further ado, let me jump there into year 2. So this would be on page 4-6, jumping ahead. The first change we have is to our traffic system management. This is a request for additional $30,000 in CNRE funding. This would be for green paint, specifically for bicycle facilities, to help enhance any potential conflict points between our bicycle facilities and travel lanes, really highlighting those at some of the key intersections. On page 4-8, this is a program that's been being reintroduced for a Brayburn culvert. So this would be non-recurring. It's for $400,000. You may recall we had previously done a culvert rehabilitation project on Brayburn Road. There's actually twin culverts. We were able to do the east culvert in 2023. Unfortunately, that project had some challenges, complications along the way. So this additional funding request would be to complete the western barrel of those 2 twin culverts. On page 4-9, the infrastructure improvement program. As I mentioned earlier, the funding increase of $800,000 on this program would be to address the Mountain Road retaining wall. This is opposite Treeborough. It's kind of where Old Mountain Road kind of goes up the hill and comes back down. There's a retaining wall that's set back about 400 feet in length. We did have one area that had failed. It's been temporarily shored up with some large concrete blocks. Not the most aesthetic, but it has shored it up for the time being. But we are seeing some other areas where it's starting to show signs of potential failure. So we want to make sure that that's on our radar and we have a plan to address that in the future. On page 4-10, this is another new program that we're introducing in the second year. This would be a recurring program for streetlight relamping. The request is for $300,000. Town maintains about 6,500 streetlights. You'll recall they were upgraded to LEDs back in 2015. Unfortunately, that was kind of the first generation technology. They're kind of nearing the end of their useful life. Unlike traditional lamps, they start to diminish rather than fail, which is good and bad. But we are seeing those lighting levels start to drop. So we want to make sure we stay out in front of this, especially as it relates to Vision Zero. I know that's been a concern of the community. We hear it quite a bit about the low lighting levels. So the thought is to do a phased replacement, tackling about 20% per year over the next 5 years. And we're looking at, obviously with newer technologies, improvements to LEDs, we should be able to get better lighting levels using the same wattage. So it shouldn't really change our energy consumption rates, but we'll see obviously some better light quality, improved durability with these lamps. So that's the program that we're introducing here. On page 4-11, this is our Mountain at Albany intersection improvement project. This was a grant that we had gotten a few years back through LOTSIP for 1.5 million. This is to widen Mountain Road, to alleviate some congestion at the intersection of Albany Avenue, provide on-street bike lanes, a couple mid-block crosswalks. We're working to advance that design now, but we estimate that the current project is going to be short by about $1 million. So that's the increase request there is to supplement that grant funding from 1.5 up to 2.5 million for that project. And then the last one that I just wanted to touch on was Vision Zero. Again, this was just adjustment in the funding. So we moved the 795,000 out of the, I think it was at 1 million. So we advanced that up to year FY26 to cover the SS4A grant match requirement. So that would leave us with 205,000 in this program for FY27. So that's everything that I have. I know I went through that quickly, but happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Does anyone have any questions about year 2 or anything else? No? Well, thank you, guys, for your presentations. They were quick, concise, which is good. And I guess, are there any communications?
There are not, Madam Chair. I appreciate everyone's time this morning and look forward to talking more.
I do just want to say I'm not competitive or anything, but we are going into March Madness. This was 45-minute meeting, so we're kind of putting the marker out there for the other committee meetings. So, right now we would be the #1 seed, I think. So we'll just a little fun competition among committee chairs. So if we don't
Rick,
what?
Rick, the challenge is accepted. Can we spread the word to Public Works folks?
We will try.
Well, I can speak for hours. I think we'd be at the lower seed or the higher seed in terms of length of time.
So if there are no objections, I move to adjourn the meeting and let everyone get on with their day. Thank you guys again. Thank you guys for coming and have a great day.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Have a good day. Bye.